Hi, folks. Thank you for joining and welcome to today's session. I'm very excited today to talk about Agentspace. We're going to introduce the platform and talk about how enterprises can leverage Agentspace to unlock enterprise expertise. This is a platform that we announced on December 13th. We've been working with customers prior to that, but we publicly announced it on December 13th. And today I'm going to walk through a lot of information related to the offering. Reminder, everything is under NDA. We are sharing with our partner community, but please do not share the information. The decks, the presentations will be made available to you through the partner portal, but please do not share information publicly. My name's Stuart Moncada. I lead our outbound product management teams within Cloud AI for our search and agent builder portfolios.
My name is Erwan. I'm one of the product management leaders at Cloud AI.
So we have a lot to cover today. There's actually a lot on the agenda. I will kick things off with giving a high-level overview about Agentspace. Focus on some of the problems we're solving, what's the value prop. I'll show a short, brief video that highlights, what the product capabilities are. That'll give you a good understanding of what the product is. After that, I will double click into a few technical differentiators, some technical details. Then we'll get into section 2. That'll be how to pitch, how to onboard, how to access, some of the go-to-market strategy and focus for Agentspace. And then we'll have a section on FAQ and resources, and then we'll open it up at the end for some Q&A. All right, so let's kick things off with the Agentspace overview. Let me start by setting a little bit of context. Gen AI truly captured the world's imagination like technology hadn't maybe in 10, 20 years. So it really captured everyone's attention. And in all of the discussions we have in 2023 and 2024 with enterprises, top priority, top goal is how do we leverage AI? How do we leverage Gen AI at our organization? And in particular, one of the big focus areas is how do we leverage it for employee productivity? So this is a big focus broadly across any organization you speak to today is how do we leverage Gen AI to unlock employee productivity? But the reality is that today, this is largely an unmet promise. And there's a few reasons. Primarily, the enterprise landscape is quite different than the consumer landscape. So if you look on this slide, you'll see here, in the enterprise use case, employees are working across dozens of applications. Also, employee enterprise workflows are a lot more complex. A lot of the initial tools that were created were a little bit more focused on the consumer use case or consumer landscape. So they weren't necessarily grounded and connected to the enterprise use cases. They weren't focused on optimizing and improving enterprise workflows. And then the other big thing is they weren't necessarily AI compliant, enterprise ready, and focusing on things that are critical for a lot of enterprises. Things like, security, privacy, data residency, compliance. These are a lot of the initial challenges that organizations face. So, what you end up with is you end up with sideload search and agent experiences across different applications. So imagine you have employees that are, searching in Jira, in Salesforce, in Google Drive, in SharePoint. They're using agents in these different applications, or they're building agents in all of these different platforms. One of the big discussion topics we have with a lot of enterprises is, I don't have a clue on what are the agents that have been built within my organization. Where have they been deployed? Who created them? Who's using them? This is obviously, a privacy and security and data leakage concern that a lot of organizations face. And it also causes a lot of inefficiencies, right? So this is the big challenge that we're looking to solve with Agentspace. And that's why we're so excited to have announced this platform, because we think it has a massive market opportunity. Agentspace offers an out-of-the-box SaaS-like experience that combines arguably Google's two biggest strengths, search and AI, connected across all of an enterprise data's connectors, applications, so that employees can be more productive in accomplishing complex work tasks that require planning, research, content generation, and performing actions across different tools and different workflows. So, imagine sales reps that can instantly interact with all of the customer account data, regardless of whether it's in Salesforce, in Jira, in Slack messages. They can bring that together all in a single offering, right? So while this is offered through our Cloud AI organization, it very much is different from our Cloud AI products, right? This is intended to be used by tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of users, whereas a lot of our cloud tools are not. They're used by builders. So it is an out-of-the-box SaaS-like product, which is very different and has a lot of nuances, which we'll talk about. So when I think about what can employees do with Agentspace, you can think about 3 buckets. Number one, you get information discovery, you get search across all of your enterprise connections. So through all of the out-of-the-box connectors that we've built, these are enterprise ready. They have access control capabilities in each of the individual connectors. They connect into applications like Salesforce, Jira, Workday, SharePoint, Google Workspace. So we bring together all of that data, all of that information to offer employees somewhere where they can search for information in a self-service way, whether it's the sales example or whether it's a broad employee example where you're pulling information on your 401k, your remote work policy, etc. So that's the first column. The second thing you can do with Agentspace is you can use agents, expert agents, to automate your business functions and your workflows. Again, grounded on your enterprise applications. So out of the box, Agentspace is a general purpose search and agent experience. It also comes out of the box with specific purpose-built agents. The first one that we introduced is our research agent, but then we will also have integrations into third-party agent building platforms and integrations into our builder tools so that employees can extend the out-of-the-box capabilities of Agentspace. And that could be employees at a given organization, or it can be also partners that are helping create and extending the out-of-the-box functions of Agentspace. So that's the second pillar. Everything to do with agents, and we realize agents is a popular term these days. So when we speak about agents, we're not simply talking about localized RAG engine or an LLM connected to a data source. Our definition of agents are systems that can reason, think, and act towards a goal, right? So ultimately, they're a bit more autonomous than an LLM on its own or than an assistant. Then the third thing I want to highlight is Agentspace offers new ways to interact with Google's latest AI innovations like Notebook LM, but also capabilities like Imagen and Veo. So it's a great vehicle to put Google's leading AI innovation in the hands of employees in an enterprise compliant and secure way. We'll talk more about the integration between Notebook LM and Agentspace. There's been a lot of recent development on the Notebook LM side between Workspace, between cloud, between the consumer application. So we'll have some content that gets into all of those details. So I'm going to show a quick overview and demo, and then we will get into some of the technical details. the reception from customers has been overwhelmingly positive. Like customers are just very excited about the value prop, the offering, the investment we're making. So let me click into a few of the differentiators and technical details that a lot of customers are eager to hear about every time we show that video and we give an overview of Agentspace. So number one are the enterprise connectors. Like this is really at the foundation of Agentspace because this is what differentiates Agentspace from a generic, Gen AI powered chat application or bot that's general purpose. And so this is a key differentiator that, this is one of the things I was talking about earlier, where this platform is really focused on the enterprise landscape, enterprise use cases, enterprise data. And a big part of that is the connector. These connectors are not just focused on the Google ecosystem. Actually, a big focus is the non-Google ecosystem because we want this platform to be broadly applicable in the market. So we've built connectors into platforms like SharePoint, Jira, Salesforce. There are actually no dependencies on a customer having to be a Google Workspace customer. There are also no dependencies on a customer having to be a GCP customer, whether they're using our builder tools. So it's very much a great entry product, to get a customer using Agentspace, regardless of what the other tools that they're using or what their environment is. Number two are the access control list, the security. This is very critical. There's no enterprise that will connect their SharePoint, Slack, Google Drive, their sensitive enterprise data to a platform and offer it to all of their employees without access controls into place. So every connector that we build, we pull in the access control information from that connector. During onboarding, we will also set up an integration into the identity provider. So Agentspace is pulling all of the access control from each individual connector. It's also pulling all of the information from users, groups, and roles, and it's using that to filter at the user level, at the query time, what information can be presented, so that if an employee is searching for any information, they will not be shown data that they don't have access to. If an employee is asking for generated content or for some assistive capability that needs or uses data they don't have access to, it will not be performed with that data. The third thing is these connectors are designed for easy setup and onboarding by an admin. This is something that is done during the initial onboarding setup. So the connectors are set up at the organizational level, and then the user permissions and the results are presented at the user level. And then the last thing to highlight on the connectors is that we're building these connectors with advanced settings so that they're rapidly updating in terms of data, in terms of access controls, so that we have advanced features like the ability in Slack to filter out certain channels. Maybe an organization just has a sensitive exec channel they don't want to even be indexed. So we're adding these connector specific capabilities as well. But really at the foundation of the platform is the connectors, because it's what's going to ground the search to the enterprise data, and it's also what's going to ground the agents to the enterprise data. The second thing I would highlight is, why is Google in a great position to offer Agentspace? Like, why is Google well positioned? One of the big reasons is because of Google search expertise. For more than 20 years, Google has been investing in R&D and capabilities to make search, best globally in terms of technology, in terms of data. So when it comes to Agentspace, there's typically three areas. Number one is the actual technology itself, right? So everything from our processing, chunking, indexing, retrieval, ranking, all of that leading technology that is used to power our Google.com consumer experience for billions of users is now brought over to the enterprise and can be leveraged across an enterprise's data sets. The second thing I would call out is the enterprise knowledge graph. So as we're building all of these connectors, as we're building connectors for Jira and Salesforce, we're also building out that enterprise knowledge graph so that Agentspace can, link and identify Salesforce contact, an object to a Jira issue and ticket, right? So that it's intelligent and it knows how those two are related, so that it knows, Agentspace knows, who's on your team, what's the hierarchy. It's using various signals like, recency of documents, as well as, who's accessing documents and the authors and the creator of documents. So there's actually dozens and dozens of signals that we use to make Agentspace more accurate. This is a very common question we get from customers is, we tried to build a Q&A bot that could answer questions, and we linked it to our data sources, and the enterprise landscape is just super messy. There's multiple copies of the same document. This is where we leverage our Google expertise and those dozens of signals I just mentioned to really make sure that we're providing accurate search results and we're providing accurate generated content when the assistant is invoked. The third thing I would call out is Google Web Search, right? So we have the connectors that are grounding on the enterprise data. We have the LLM knowledge, and then we also have Google Web data that is used to augment the LLM knowledge so that you have the most current and latest information whenever you're doing a search or a query in the platform. And primarily that's done through our integration into our Google Web product, grounding with Google Web Search, which brings in all of the web data and can connect it to model. This is built into Agentspace, so it just works out of the box. So when a user is submitting a query, it'll actually pull in information from all of those sources I talked about. You also have the ability to toggle that on or off if you don't want it to use the latest web data. The next differentiator I would call out is Google AI. And this actually manifests itself in a couple of different ways. Number one, Agentspace is a great vehicle for your employees to use things like Imagen and Veo. They're able to generate images, generate video for their employee tasks through a simple to use interface, enterprise compliant, and it's not a cloud tool that your employees would need to get access to. It's very much an easy SaaS-like experience. So that's the first way. All of these leading and advanced capabilities we have in AI, they're also used to build Agentspace. So Agentspace has multimodal capabilities. It has long context window that really help improve its accuracy. It humanizes Agentspace so that you don't just use text, you can use audio, you can use video and images when interacting with Agentspace. And then the last couple of slides are really focusing on agents. And agents is a very much a trending topic. We also have different agent capabilities within our Cloud AI portfolio already. So I do want to spend a little bit of time just giving a little bit of clarity here on the agent offering. So the vision with Agentspace is for it to be the central destination for agents that are focused on employee productivity and are focused on being activated within the enterprise landscape, right? So we have other tools in our platform, that are focused on building agents for, your external product or external users. Agentspace is very much focused on the enterprise landscape. What capabilities do we offer today? And maybe I'll touch a little bit on what's coming in the very near term as well. So what's available today is the general purpose search and assistive agent that you saw in the demo that can search across all your data, perform certain actions like create meetings, create Jira tickets. And then we also have added out-of-the-box agents that are focused on specific tasks. The one that's available today is called a research agent, and which I'll touch on in the next slide. But then this is an area that we're rapidly adding agents. We'll be adding agents on calendar invite optimization and a data science agent. So that covers the out-of-the-box agents. Number two, customers, partners have the ability to build agents and extend the capabilities of Agentspace. So today, what's available is, you can build an agent on Agent Builder through Dialogflow, and you can activate it in Agentspace. We're introducing in March is a UI directly in Agentspace that you can build agents directly in Agentspace, activate them in Agentspace, and see which agents are built and activated. And then what we're launching around next timeframe, additionally, is integration with our builder tools within Vertex AI. So the ability to integrate with more of our developer-focused tools so that you could build full code agents on Vertex AI and activate them for your employees on Agentspace. And then there's a lot more to come with respect to agents. We're working on integrations into third-party agent building platforms. That vision of having it be a destination for activating employee agents, whether they're out of the box, first party built, or built on third party, we can really materialize that vision for Agentspace. This is a little bit of a double click into our research agent. It's one of our advanced agents. So it'll take a complex task like analyze the impact of AI in the travel industry. It'll then reason, break down that high level ask into 15 to 20 sub-tasks, sub-analysis topics, everything from virtual assistants to travel technology to booking platforms like Airbnb. It'll break that down. It'll then simultaneously execute each of those research tasks and then provide a summarized report. So this is one of our out-of-the-box agents. We're making a lot of investments in this area, so there'll be more out-of-the-box agents coming soon and available in the platform. And then the next thing I want to chat about is Notebook LM for Enterprise. Notebook LM is a very popular consumer application that Google launched and got a lot of recent traction and users. A lot when we launched the audio summaries popular feature. What we've done now is we've brought that over for businesses. And there's a few options on how you can get that and how customers can get that, which I'll cover on the next slide. I'm focusing today a lot on the Notebook LM version that's provided through Cloud AI and that's integrated into Agentspace. So if we talk about what's new with the Notebook LM enterprise version, it's the highly compliant cloud environment. So things that matter to enterprises like Sec4, HIPAA compliance, VPCSC, data residency or data sovereignty, those are the new capabilities that we're bringing to the enterprise version that does not exist in the consumer version. We also have added, because Agentspace integrates into the identity provider, the same integration can be used for Notebook LM so that employees can easily access their notebooks and log into Notebook LM in a secure way. The other thing that we're doing is we're introducing ways to share notebooks in a secure fashion. And through the integration with Notebook LM, it would leverage the ACLs, the access control information from the individual Agentspace connectors so that when you're creating a notebook and you share it, it'll persist the underlying data that's placed into a notebook. And then we're also expanding our support for different types of documents to go beyond the one supported by the consumer version initially and add support for Microsoft Word documents, PowerPoint, Excel. So let me double click on Notebook LM and what's being offered. The first column is the yellow column. That's the consumer version. It's the one that has millions of users. It has some limitations. It is free. That's why it has some limitations in terms of usage. And that's very much a consumer application. Now we introduced the business version, which is the blue you see across the top. And that's what is called the Notebook LM Plus variant. That's for businesses. There's two ways to get that business version. Number one is through Workspace, right? If you're an existing Workspace customer, a lot of the Workspace tiers will include the Notebook LM Plus version for Workspace. That's the green column you see here. You can see that the usage limits are bumped up and there's additional advanced capabilities and support for the additional documents. Now, if you go to the gray column, which is the last column, that's the one I was focusing on in the previous slide and the one I'll focus on mostly for this presentation. It does not require a customer being a Google Workspace customer. It also has the additional usage limits and some of the additional features, as well as already has the support for the additional source documents. In addition, it has support for identity federation so that it can use an existing SSO, and it has additional support for data residency and compliance, things like VPCSC, HIPAA, Sec4. So if there's customers that are really like financial service FSI customers that are really focused on compliance, security, then there's some capabilities that are very relevant there on the Notebook LM for Enterprise, which is part of the Agentspace offering. That last column, the gray one, that's the one that's integrated into Agentspace itself. And I'll talk a little bit more about that integration in a couple slides. So let's talk a little bit about, pitching Agentspace, onboarding, a little bit of the go-to-market, how to get the product in the hands of customers. I think the first thing to start off with and ground the conversation on is it is a SaaS product. It is a per user per month type of a product. So it has a lot of implications when it comes to go-to-market in terms of pricing, but also activation, onboarding, how customers perceive and see the value of the platform. Here are the 3 additions that we have today. We have Notebook LM for Enterprise. That's the blue column. That's the cloud version of Notebook LM. Does not require Google Workspace, does not require you to be a GCP customer. It's just built on top of cloud so that it has a lot of those advanced cloud protections like VPCSC, Sec4, has the cloud terms of service in essence. This first version does not come with connectors. So this is just a standalone version of Notebook LM brought into the cloud environment, per user per month, individual product. If you look at the second tier here, this is our first Google Agentspace Enterprise tier. This, in essence, gets you advanced blended search across all of the connectors that we offer. So search, summarization, citations, additionally people search because of with the integration into the identity provider, and it has that Notebook LM for Enterprise. So now your Notebook LM also gets access to those connectors from Agentspace. Now, if we look at the third tier, what do you get with the third tier? This is where you get everything that we've seen so far. You get the search and all of the connectors. You get the Notebook LM with the connectors, but in addition to that, you also get the out-of-the-box agents, you get the actions, you get the integrations into, to build the custom agent. So everything agent and actions related is what's incrementally in the third package. In terms of go-to-market, Agentspace really has broad applicability in the market. In essence, organizations that have knowledge workers, we're initially focusing on large enterprises that have a lot of employees who rely heavily on accessing, creating, and sharing information as a part of their day-to-day job. So, imagine organizations that have a lot of analysts, consultants, engineers, large marketing departments, people that are actively working with knowledge, with information, with all of these different applications. They want quick and easy access to relevant information. They want a secure and scalable way to use enterprise agents for employee productivity and for assistive capabilities. In terms of target buyers, it is a top-down motion. Primarily, that is because of the connectors, right? These connectors do need to, and I'm focusing on Agentspace. Notebook LM has different nuances, but for Agentspace itself, the connectors are set up at the organizational level. A lot of large enterprises will want to, do security reviews before setting up connectors in production. So the target buyer is potentially a CIO or a CTO, someone that's looking to streamline IT operations, reduce costs, drive AI transformation. It could also be, head of a specific department or LOB, potentially someone like HR or a lot of large organizations these days have an employee experience team, or there's an AI center of excellence team. And these are a lot of times teams that are focusing on AI powered tools to improve the employee experience and engagement and productivity. Very much a land and expand motion. And this is for a couple reasons. Number one, it's quite the ask to ask an organization and to just purchase and deploy 200, 300,000 licenses immediately, particularly in the AI space when enterprises are still learning how to work with AI products, how to activate AI products, how to show ROI on AI products. So for that reason, we very much recommend land and expand. So finding a champion, someone at the organization that will help drive POC and with a focused set of use cases and a focused set of connectors. So many times we'll recommend 2 to 3 connectors that that are relevant to that specific department, that are relevant to the specific key use cases to prove out the POC, and then show value and grow and expand into additional teams or lines of businesses. So even though we recommend a land and expand, this is a platform that has broad application to a lot of personas at an organization. And each of these personas will care about slightly different use cases. So, where sales may care a little bit more about summarizing customer information and specific connectors like Salesforce, Slack, SharePoint, these could be very relevant to sales. Someone on the software engineering team may care a little bit more about Git or Jira or some of the other engineering and software tools. So this is a big part of the reason why we recommend a land and expand. But when we are demoing, pitching, speaking to value, we do want to keep these specific personas in mind because the use cases will be relevant and the connectors will be relevant. So in terms of what's the status of Agentspace, Agentspace is GA with an allow list. So what that means is it has a lot of the items that come with a GA product, like the terms of service, billing, support. All of that is applicable to Agentspace because it is GA. However, there is an allow list process in terms of getting customers onboarded. So this is what we recommend in terms of working with customers and working with Agentspace. So number one, educate yourself on the platform. We'll be sharing out this presentation. There is a ton of assets on Delivery Navigator. We've published a methodology for Agentspace that has everything from technical details on how the platform works to project management assets on how to lead and drive an engagement. There's dozens and dozens of assets there that are available. So I would say number one, that's a key step, is just educate yourself. There's a Google Cloud Skills Boost for partners. Second is qualify and pitch. So you can pitch Google Agentspace to customers that meet the qualification criteria. And we have all the details in the delivery methodology, but primarily it's focused on, are the connectors that they care about available? Are the use cases that they care about currently supported? Allow list is done by the FSRs. So work with FSRs to submit the allow list nomination and cross-reference the given partner. And then the other thing to highlight here is, the proposed Notebook LM. It's a great alternative to have a customer. Notebook LM does not have the allow list. So Notebook LM, you can get up and running quickly. You also don't have the connectors. So it's quite straightforward to set up Notebook LM. You can simply set up the identity federation and you are ready to go with respect to Notebook LM. So that's another great option. And then the last thing to call out is, deep dive into the delivery navigator, the methodology that's available in the partner portal. And there's, we're working on opening that up. And if there's partners that are willing to self onboard onto Agentspace using the already published methodology, then we will give those partners priority and list them so that they can self-onboard, get familiar with the methodology, get familiar with the platform. And then that's step one to helping us really onboard partners and unlock some of the overall onboarding. We're working towards lifting allow list at next. So that's what the target is in terms of removing the allow list completely. Connectors will obviously be a key theme for enterprises. Which connectors are available is one of the first questions we get from customers. Do you support this connector? Do you support this connector? You can see here what's available today. What you see in green are a few of the more popular and tested connectors that we have today. These are a lot of the ones we recommend for the initial POCs for a couple reasons. Number one, they tend to be platforms that are very common and very popular. They tend to have a lot of data, a lot of information, so that it's helpful for showing specific use cases and value. So that's what you see in the green. But what you see on the left, what's available today. What you see on the right is what's coming soon. And we're adding connectors every month. The goal is really to connect, holistically to that enterprise landscape of data. We also have an API that's available. So if a customer or a partner wants to build a connector into, some legacy or proprietary platform where we don't have a connector, then, that's also an option for customers as well.
So let's go through a few frequently asked questions we're getting nowadays. And I would like to encourage you again to ask your question through the webinar tooling so that we can shift to Q&A in a few minutes. So, of course, we get a lot of questions around languages supported. And so right now at launch, we have 35 languages supported, as you can see here, several of which are very relevant to the Asia Pacific region. I presume on this version of the recording, with this time of the day, we hopefully have a lot of people from Asia Pacific. So Indonesian, Korean, Japanese, Chinese are already there. We have more languages coming. As you can imagine, the support of languages is built on the support of languages across Google AI as a whole. So the most important thing for us to do in the context of Google Agentspace is to perform validation and make sure that in that given language, Google Agentspace is going to behave really well as an application. The underlying research and development of the language support goes back to the foundational models, the Gemini family, and so on. Another aspect we get quite a few questions about is compliance, regionalization, data residency. So we already have HiPi, which is more like a US consideration, but we have CloudSec 4 with CMEC and so on coming this quarter. Today, the service is available in the global endpoint, US and European regions. And as far as storage and processing of the model, in this quarter, we have UK, Canada, Japan, and Australia. And then shortly after that, India, South Korea, Singapore, and other countries will follow. Again, I think what is really interesting with Agentspace is that you get an entire stack that we're taking care of for you. If you were to build that sort of experience all by yourself, you would need to manage the availability of all the models and all the functions, and it would be quite a complex architecture to evolve over time. We're taking care of this complexity, we abstract it for you, and made it available in shape of an application stack that then needs to be connected to your enterprise systems. Another set of questions we get typically around the commercial terms. So currently we are in the blue column, we're in the GA with allow list period. And during that period, we offer 90 days, no cost, no obligation promotional usage for an unlimited number of fully featured licenses. Whatever you go with, Google Agentspace Enterprise, which is the federated search, or you go to the larger edition, which is Google Agentspace Enterprise Plus with the research assistant as an example. So you get 90 days to use it, it's available, and you can start proving value. Once we go into public GA, which we expect to happen in the month of April, that promotional period will go to 30 days with about the same terms. In addition to that, there is a purchase promotion. So depending on the commitment, customers are ready to take on Google Agentspace, 1 year, 3 year commits. there are additional promotions coming to make the commercial terms more attractive. Finally, we get a lot of questions around the structure of the pricing. So you remember I walked you through the succession of experiences: Notebook LM for Enterprise, standalone, self-onboarding, no connectors, Google Agentspace Enterprise, connectors to your systems. By the way, pricing does not depend on the number of connectors. Connectors are free. What we focus on with the pricing is a price per user per month for the whole experience of Notebook LM Enterprise plus the federated search into this Google Agentspace Enterprise package. And the third edition is Google Agentspace Enterprise Plus, which adds agents, agent creation, research agent, and so on. And so that progression is also reflected in pricing with a price per user per month that evolves along that graduation path. So allow listing to access Google Agentspace will be in place through Google Next in April. And of course, we're giving priority to customers and partners who have connectors well aligned with the table I was showing before. One thing I want to communicate to every partner who are attending today: we have published, and I'll show you where, we have published in the public domain through Delivery Navigator an onboarding methodology that you can apply to onboard your clients to Google Agentspace. Should you agree to apply that methodology to yourself as an organization to perform a self-onboarding and discover the product ahead of onboarding one of your clients, we would immediately allow list you. So contact your partner manager. We'll get you allow listed. As long as you are ready to self-onboard and give us feedback on that onboarding methodology, you will be able to access the product for yourself, discover it for yourself, possibly uncover that it could help you being yourself in the knowledge business.
There are a lot of resources we have available, everything from pitch deck, partner FAQ. There are dozens and dozens of resources on the implementation accelerator on Delivery Navigator. There's a Google Cloud skills boost for partner. So there's a large effort that's been put into making sure that the partner community has the assets that they need to be able to speak to Agentspace, activated onboard customers, and cover the entire customer lifecycle. And a good place to land is that Delivery Navigator that we have. I will now hand it over for our Q&A.
Can you talk about the Google Agentspace timeline and resale motion for Premier partners?
So the Google Agentspace timeline, I'm not sure if we mean timeline in terms of implementation or which part of the timeline. I think the main thing here is reiterate to self-onboard with the Delivery Navigator, get familiar with the platform, and then over the next few days and weeks, we'll be offering additional comms on how to get fully activated and the timelines for partners activating customers.
Can you share the architecture of Google Agentspace? Will it be available on Vertex AI?
Good question, and maybe a few things for me to clarify. Agentspace is built on top of our cloud platform. So it's built, what that means is it's built on top of Vertex AI. So it's using our models, it's using Vertex AI search, and it's using the entire Vertex AI platform. It's intended to be an out-of-the-box SaaS-like experience. So it's not intended to be integrated into and offered through Vertex AI. Like, it's all part of our Google Cloud offering, but it is intended to be a standalone offering. Where it's integrated with Vertex AI is through the integrations that I mentioned, where customers or partners would be able to build full code agents and activate them on Agentspace. So that's a little bit of the hierarchy. I think there are different layers of the stack. So you have the cloud platform, you have Vertex AI, and then Agentspace is built on top of Vertex AI, on top of the different models. So there's no dependencies on a customer having to use Vertex AI or GCP. But if a customer is curious about what's the underlying architecture, what's the underlying technology, then yes, it's leveraging Vertex AI, it's leveraging our leading models, and we've built these, these data stores with all of the enterprise connectors, but we're offering that as a fully managed service. So in a lot of ways, the customer doesn't need to really get involved in all of the intricacies of that architecture because it's an out-of-the-box experience. Where it does come into play is where you're building the agents, and that's where the integrations into Vertex AI come into play.
If you already have this connected in BigQuery and have access controls in place, can you leverage this?
It depends on what these connected means, because it really depends on what we're asking here, because you could set up connectors in BigQuery using a lot of different systems and platforms. You can build your own BigQuery connector. You can build your own access control management logic and software. What we are offering BigQuery connectors as a part of Agentspace. We'll be building protocols for when you build an agent and how to activate it on Agentspace to make it for interoperability and seamless activation on Agentspace. So in essence, the idea is to be able to easily build agents that interface with BigQuery and have BigQuery connected to Agentspace so that you can pull in all the enterprise knowledge and data.
Will partners be able to build custom connectors?
Yes, partners will be able to build custom connectors. We have an API that's available for either customers or partners to build custom connectors. Yes, for a given customer.
Will this be a GCP service or a Google Workspace service add-on?
It's a Google Cloud offering. There's no dependencies on Google Workspace. You also don't have to be an existing GCP customer. Although it's offered through Google Cloud, you don't have to be using Vertex. You don't have to be using other cloud products. So it's a good entry product, as I mentioned earlier.
Is there a method to request additional connectors if the one you need isn't available?
Yes, I think the best method currently is through your partner managers. And we're working on ways to provide additional feedback as part of the self-onboarding process. If partners choose to self-onboard and get allow listed, we do have feedback mechanisms there as well. The connector roadmap is a bit fluid. We obviously will prioritize the connectors that are getting the most demand from customers and partners.
How do you use connectors? Do you crawl all the content? If yes, where do you store data or chunk of data or rack?
We pull in all of the data. So we do pull in the data. We store it and index it in the cloud environment. So this is a big part of why we decided to build on cloud, because cloud has a lot of those enterprise protection, security, and privacy things that I talked about earlier. So a customer would have full control and the data would live within their projects.
Can you integrate homegrown applications into the connectors?
Yes, I think I answered this one. There's an API to build custom connectors for applications.
What's the opportunity for a system integrator, SI, in the Google Agentspace implementation?
I think there's a lot of opportunities. I think number one, there's the onboarding opportunity, getting a customer onboarding, activated, deployed. Number two, there's potentially the connector opportunity, building custom connectors. Number three, there's the custom agent opportunity. I think this is probably the most interesting and the largest one for an SI system integrator to extend the capabilities, Agentspace's out of the box offering, and really, build those specific connectors that are very nuanced to that customer or to a specific use case.
In the video example where a user adds a person to a meeting via Agentspace, is this functionality achievable using existing agents, or would we need to develop custom agents to enable such support?
So what exists today is the ability in the product out of the box is the ability to create a meeting through Agentspace. It pulls in the information from the directory. So if I say create a meeting with Joe Smith and it'll detect Joe Smith for my team, or if I say create a meeting with my team, it'll create the meeting. What we're working on currently and we'll be launching soon is an advanced out-of-the-box agent that helps with optimizing the meeting time, finding, and offers more advanced capabilities for meeting support.
What is a sales agent AI use case?
Sales agent AI use case could be helping prepare for a meeting with a key customer, pulling information from Salesforce that has recent, meeting communication activity, pulling information from Jira that has recent tickets related to that customer, pulling information from Slack threads, summarizing that, preparing that for a salesperson so that when they go to meet with the customer, they have a nicely prepared context and discussion topics.
For Notebook LM, if you have the Plus version with Gemini, if you create a chat mode in Notebook LM, can you share that with all your domain, regardless if they have a Gemini license?
So maybe we can follow up on this one. I'm less familiar with the workspace version, which I'm assuming this one is referring to. A lot of the content I'm focusing on is Agentspace and the Notebook LM for cloud version. And that's the one, the Notebook LM for cloud version is the one that would be connected to the different enterprise applications. And when you share a notebook, it'll pull in the SSO. So maybe we can follow up on the workspace specific version.
What is the role for partners for Google Agentspace opportunities? It feels like more of a SaaS product, and I am wondering what role partners will play in getting it set up for success.
Yeah, I think I answered this one with like the onboarding the connectors and the agents.
Is Agentspace the go-to solution for an enterprise trying to implement an internal chat box? If so, how is Airbag and integration to custom data source API handled?
So this is a major use case that we see broadly across enterprises. When I talk to customers, this is one of the key use cases. So yes, this is an obvious great fit, primarily because of those connectors. So RBAC is what we're referring to ACLs, access controls list. So every connector that Agentspace offers has access control list capabilities so that it's pulling all the role-based access control information, and it only shows the data that the users can access. So yeah, that is a key part of Agentspace. And then the custom data sources would come through the API I've already discussed. And then the other key thing is all the signals, from the enterprise knowledge graph that help with the quality and the performance of the actual results, because the enterprise landscape is noisy in terms of data and documents.
How are we seeing the integration with Outlook emails with Google Agentspace? Can we extract the specific data from the email body?
So this integration exists today, and what it offers you today is if you search an Agentspace, you'll be able to search across Outlook, across SharePoint, across Drive. So through that single search box, without having to go to Outlook, you're able to search across all of the data from Outlook. So yes, you would see the data from the email body, assuming you have access to it. Obviously, the other thing with the Outlook integration is you're also able to create emails through Agentspace for both Gmail and Outlook today.
How does Google Agentspace manage the data authorization with enterprise systems such as SharePoint and other applications?
The general philosophy, the way we build the connectors, is to remain compliant to the ACLs and access rights as you did configure them within your own organization. And if you're using access control software like Okta and so on, we're going to integrate into that. What is really, really important for a positive Google Agentspace experience is really to comply to the security setup and access rules as they do exist in the enterprise before we apply Google Agentspace on top.
I submitted the form for allow listed access to Google Agentspace a while ago, but haven't heard anything yet. What should I do?
So first of all, it is fair to say that there's been a lot of interest for Google Agentspace since we launched it. Bear with us and thank you for your patience. As I mentioned before, if you are one of our implementation partners, we want to accelerate your access to this product. So I would encourage you to connect with your partner team again and make sure that they take the appropriate steps in our internal allow listing process. Because should you agree, and we will ask you to confirm that, should you agree to self-onboard using the methodology I referred prior on Delivery Navigator, then we would allow list you right away. And frankly, we can't wait to hear your feedback about the quality of that methodology, that accelerator, and see how we can improve it together so that you apply it afterwards to onboarding your own clients.
Can published agents be added to Teams or Slack channel, where it can respond to a category of questions by querying multiple sources connected to it?
Yeah, so I think this is definitely the destination. Like, whatever you build the agent on Google Agentspace or elsewhere, you want that agent to be invoked in whatever other surfaces and benefit from the knowledge it has acquired. The very precise answer to your question will slightly depend on where and how you build that agent. Our ambition is to have Google Agentspace welcoming agents wherever you did build them. We will give you a way to build your own agent on Google Agentspace, but we also want to welcome agents you may have built elsewhere. So definitely aligned with the destination. I think we'd love to work with you on the real customer case to see how that looks like. Do we use an off-the-shelf agent from Google Agentspace, or do we have to build one? And if we build one, do we do it with Google or elsewhere? Depending on those parameters, the answer will vary a little bit, but the destination is clearly the one you're highlighting.
Could you talk a bit about how integration between Notebook LM and Google Agentspace?
Yeah, the key is the connectors. So if you've used Notebook LM as a consumer, basically what happens is that let's say I'm preparing a meeting with you all, and I have a list of companies who registered for this, and I'm trying to build context around what matters to you. So I can find information about you attendees, drop them in a Notebook LM, and start a Q&A with that content to try to understand what matters the most to you, according to the information I have. And from there, I can deduct and create content. Okay, that experience on the consumer Notebook LM implies that I'm going to download on my computer all the assets I find about my topic and then upload them into Notebook LM. Okay, you've probably been through that journey. Imagine if that information retrieval could be powered by a federated search engine across the silos of knowledge inside your organization. The ability to retrieve relevant inputs to bring to Notebook LM to interact is accelerated and amplified in a tremendous way. That's benefit number one of integrating Notebook LM with Agentspace. Benefit number two, you can use Agentspace to distribute your notebook. And by the way, respecting the way you want to set up access to your notebook. So let's say you're a member of a sales team, you've prepared a briefing about an account you're meeting with, and then you put in that same notebook the notes of your meeting and a bit of research you've done, and you want to share that best practice with your peers. You can share that notebook using access rights as they work in your company. I want to share it with my entire team. Then when one of your team members does a research on their own Google Agentspace homepage, they will see your notebook because they have access to it, and it became a new asset, a new knowledge asset that they can take advantage of. So that's advantage number two of integrating Notebook LM and Google Agentspace. You distribute your notebooks in a controlled, enterprise compliant way.
When and how partners could add additional expert agents?
I get the question all the time. I think you're all involved in building those agents. So bring them. The ability to expose an agent on the Agentspace surface within an organization, wherever you built it, is just coming very quickly in the roadmap. So we look forward to have your agents coming. And obviously, we'd love the way you build those agents to also take advantage of the Google Agentspace search capability, hopefully to ground your agents into the enterprise truth of your clients.
Will the customer data move outside their cloud storage?
So no. To be specific, the data that you are searching resides where it resides today. There's no need to move data. You don't move data out of Salesforce or Jira. Now, all the data that are created in building that experience, the indexes, your prompts, the results of the model, all of that is stored inside your tenant on Google Cloud. And that's why we can make the security and compliance claims we make.
What level of consumption do you expect Google Agentspace to drive?
I think that if I judge by the use of this internal tool at Google called MoMA, which is a federated search engine, it is frankly the number one place any Googler goes to find information. You are looking at several queries per day per employee.
Will Google Agentspace consumption count towards Google Cloud Commit deals?
Yeah, Google Agentspace is a Google Cloud product, and it's embedded in the contractual agreements, the Google Cloud contractual agreements. Yes.
So to clarify, as a partner, I can build an agent using Google's Agentspace and launch it via the marketplace's new AI Agentspace?
That's a really good question. Yeah, I don't see any problem with that. When you publish your agents in the new AI Agentspace section of Marketplace, frankly, you could build that agent wherever you want. Obviously, we hope that some of these agents you will choose building on Google Agentspace. And then we have a lot of agent space all of a sudden. But vice versa, we'd like also that you consider the agent space part of the marketplace as a potential source of agent suggestions for your clients to enrich their own company agent space experience, popping up in that surface for their employees, agents that you would acquire through the marketplace.
Could you describe the process for onboarding through Delivery Navigator?
Yeah, it's actually pretty clear. You need to know how to connect on Delivery Navigator and be registered there and so on. Once you're there, the methodology is basically a document that tells you what to do step by step. The one prerequisite you need to secure is the allow listing. So the allow listing for you as an organization is very simple. You go to the partner managers who are supporting you. You ask them to allow list your company. You very clearly say, we are absolutely ready to self-onboard using the methodology on Delivery Navigator. We'll do it ourselves. We'll give you feedback, Google, if anything goes wrong, but we're up for it with self-onboarding. As soon as you make that commitment, that partner manager will send a request for allow listing that will be granted. Because you are a Google partner, because you committed to self-onboard, we want you to get familiar with the product. And frankly, if I may, I strongly recommend you consider that path for a very simple reason. It's a SaaS application experience that you are going to connect to some of the most critical existing business systems of your customer. So I'm not sure you want to discover Google Agentspace in front of the customer. I think it's very good practice to try to discover it for yourself, to use it in your environment. You can check the connectors. You can take missteps. It has no consequences. At this stage, we really strongly encourage you to consider self-onboarding. We're still in GA with Allow List. You get 90 days free usage. So hopefully it sounds like a really compelling next step.
What kind of offerings the service partners can launch around this product?
So the immediate offering is connectors deployment. If I look at our list of connectors, I think we've matured really well through tester program, very popular ones like SharePoint and ServiceNow and Jira. And that means that the integration work is facilitated. However, these systems, as we all know, are typically deployed in a certain way in every organization. Your deep knowledge of enterprise systems and your ability to connect the dots between that previously installed system and Google Agentspace is terrific value for the customers. So we see partners packaging discovery services like in X many weeks, we'll integrate you with 2 connectors out of this list. It's kind of a pre-baked package. And from there, we can do custom scope of work to add more connectors or do anything more specific. That's the baseline that, frankly, we need your help with. We really need our partner ecosystem to raise to the opportunity and join us in connecting Google Agentspace with the customer's systems. But that's only the beginning. I mean, there is an equally attractive, if not larger, consulting and servicing opportunity around building agents and distributing agents within your client's organization. Actually, a lot of the questions you've been asking today go in that direction. And that territory is still largely uncharted. There are many ways to build agents. There are many architectural choices that people can make. Then once you've built an agent and proven value, the question of maintaining that architecture, taking into account a new model, a new framework, a new technique for RAG and grounding, and evolving that is quite a challenging journey. Not to mention that you need to monitor the agent. You need to evaluate the agent over time. So all these aspects represent a terrific servicing opportunity. And we think that Google Agentspace kind of helps the agent topic to spread inside the organization, because it's going to help with one very important aspect: governance of the distribution of the agents. If you're a decision maker at a company and you see agents popping up in the different departments across your org, you might immediately ask yourself, are these agents compliant? Do we know who's built them? Do we know who's going to maintain them? Do we know who in the organization should have access to agent A versus B? Google Agentspace can help with those aspects too.
All right, folks, thank you very much for joining. It's a very exciting platform and opportunity. The partner community is so critical. I know we got a few questions on how this is relevant. It's more of a SaaS product. I think it is extremely relevant for partners. Onboarding, partners will be the unlock for us in terms of onboarding to really get that to scale. Connectors, custom connectors, connector setup, agents, this is the biggest opportunity for partners. So thank you all for joining. Hopefully this was helpful, and stay tuned for more.